The bliss of nirvana is priceless because it cannot be valued in terms of money. Another reason is we cannot buy it, nor can one sell it, or donate or give it to somebody. If the Buddha could give nirvana to anybody, he could have enlightened everybody in North India at the time he lived there. Buddha himself, in number of occasions I have mentioned, especially in the discourse or sutta called Mahasatipatthana Sutta, dealing with the Buddhist meditation of awareness. He said, Ekayano I am bhikkhave maggo, sattanam visuddhya, that's only one path. Nibbana satchikriya, to realize nirvana. And that path is Ekayano I am bhikkhave maggo. Only one can travel in that path. Path is a saying in a poetic way that there is a path to nirvana, but there is no path. It is a pathless land, as Krishnamurti himself has said long, long ago. Here the path, the word magga in Pali is translated into English as path, but it is a way, it is a method, it is a technique of attaining enlightenment and realizing nirvana. And that bliss that one attains and realizes on the path as well as by enlightenment and at the end of the path is available nowhere to be given to somebody or to be received from somebody. The entire bliss of nirvana and the entire bliss of the path to nirvana is within oneself. In fact, all the Four Noble Truths, four aspects of the Noble Truth that the Buddha gave to the world is within oneself. If it is within oneself, as in Satipatthana, only one can travel in that path, means you can gradually build up the bliss of nirvana within yourself. Really, it is not building up, it is an opening. The path as well as the nirvana, the path to nirvana, they are hidden within our mind, covered by our thinking and our feeling. Nirvana is opened up only when the thinking and feeling cease to function in our mind. They cease to function when the cause of feeling and thinking is no more in our mind. Such a mind is called pure mind, devoid of the three roots of our thinking and feeling. They are in Pali called raga, dosa, moha. Raga is translated as attachment to things. Dosa, resentment of things. And ignorance, not knowing. The moha, the ignorance is, moha is called, the word used to translate, the moha is translated into English as ignorance. Ignorance means the ignorance of the reality of things. We can never experience things as they are through our sense organs. They are incapable. capacities of our eye, ear, nose, tongue, etc. are very limited. They know a very little of things that they experience. Therefore, their knowledge of things is more ignorance than the real knowledge. It is this ignorance, which is knowledge, that covers the supreme bliss of nirvana in us. Because it is with the knowledge that we think. We cannot think without the knowledge. Knowledge means the memories of the past. We think in terms of our past experiences. We cannot think of things that we do not know. We can think of them with the help of things that we know. Therefore, thoughts are always based on knowledge, and knowledge is nothing with more ignorance than knowledge. And that is what is meant by the ignorance called moha in Pali. Enlightenment means the extinction of attachment, resentment and ignorance forever, completely. Then there is no more thought formation or feeling in our mind. Mind becomes empty of its entire content of thoughts. That is why nirvana is called sunyata. Although the mind is empty of thoughts, the mind can become aware of sensations. Sensation of what the sense organs become aware of. The memories are there, the memories of the past are there, but not guided by those memories. Memories means our knowledge. Knowledge is not guiding the enlightened one, because the knowledge that we have already acquired up to enlightenment is defective, faulty. As I mentioned, we acquire knowledge through sense organs, and no sense organ is capable of knowing the reality of its object. The eye cannot see the reality of its object. The ear cannot understand the reality of its object. Nor can the nose or the tongue, etc. We are ignorant of the reality in and outside us. We don't know fully about ourselves and the world in which we live. According to Buddha, the entire world is within our 1 fathom body. Fathom means about 6 feet. Because thoughts are formed by our sensations that supply us with the data or the information to think. Non-thinking is an ability that one realizes at the enlightenment, and that ability cannot be bought. Therefore, it has no price. That is what is said in the Ratan Sutra as Ladda Muda Nibbutim Bunjamana. The Buddha's disciple on the path to enlightenment, as well as those who are enlightened, experiences a bliss that can never be bought for money. It is wrong to say experiences. There is no experiencer. There is only an experience. And it can be known, the bliss of nirvana cannot be known by the mind as an object of the mind, as a mental image. Mind can become aware of mental images, and the bliss of nirvana and the nirvana itself is not a mental object. It is not the result of the process of thinking. It is not the product of our thinking. Not only thinking, it is not a product of our meditation, the trances that we realizes in the meditation. But the trances are blissful, as I mentioned earlier. And those trances can be bought or sold, or can be given to somebody, or cannot be received from somebody. That is why they are valuable, invaluable, and priceless. As said in the Ratan Sutra, Ladda Muda Nibutim Vijamana. And that nirvana is realized gradually with the gradual removal of mental defilements. They are called, mental defilements are called kilesa in Pali. In Dhammapada Malavagga it is said, Toka tokam kane kane. The mental defilements shall be removed little by little, toka tokam, kane kane, from moment to moment. Because they can be removed only when they appear in the mind, only when they get manifested in the mind. They get manifested from moment to moment. What are defilements? Whatever that gives pain of mind is a mental defilement. If you are suffering mentally, if there is any pain or tension or stress in our mind, that means there is the mind covered by mental defilements. The bliss is the removal of all such pains, the stress that we undergo, the tension that we undergo, the fear, the hatred, envy, jealousy, etc. that we undergo. They are burning our mind. Therefore, Nibbutthi means cool down completely, no more burning. Burning is caused by the contact. The enlightened mind does not contact anything outside, but can become aware without any contact. There is no touch. Passa pacchya vedana. Passa means the contact. Even their sense organs, they do not contact things. That is why Buddha said, I am like a lotus that was born in the muddy water, that grew up in the muddy water, that is being sustained by the muddy water, but remains blossom away from the muddy water. That is what the Buddha uttered in a discourse called Dona Sutta. Dona is a Brahmini who asked certain questions about the Buddha, who you are. Then Buddha explained, I am a Buddha. And Buddha explained why he is called Buddha. He said, I am like a lotus living above the water. The Dota Sutta comes in the second volume of Anguttara Nikaya on page 76. Being away from contact, non-contacting. Contact is not possible by the enlightened mind because it is free of mental magnetism for attachment and resentment. Our greed is that attachments, we get attached things that we are attracted to mentally. We resent things that we want to repel mentally. The repellent and attracting mental energy is absent in the enlightened one. Therefore, they are not grasping anything as we enlightened people do. Therefore, their mind is not perturbed by worldly incidents, events and things. Puttasa loka dhammehi chittangasana kampati, as said in the Mahamangala Sutta. Because they have no magnetic contact of things outside the mind. That means their mind is free from getting burned by attachment. When two things are attached, heat is created. Passa Paccha Vedana in Pali it's called. When two elements are getting together, there will be electric charge. Every element, every item in this physical world is made up of atoms, and all atoms have electrons moving around the nucleus of the atom. And when two items get close to each other and touch each other, there will be electrical charge, and that we experience mentally as a pain of mind. That pain is pleasant when it is a very low level, warm level. That pain is unbearable when it's too hot. That is how we divide the heating of the mind through contact into pleasure and pain. Bliss of Nirvana is the complete freedom from the burning sensation of the mind. The bliss of path to enlightenment is the gradual depletion of that pain, the gradual reduction of that pain from moment to moment, little by little. And unless there is no more pain to be experienced once you are enlightened, because that mind is not perturbed by any event outside or inside. Even when the body is very badly sick and ill, the enlightened mind is not perturbed by it. They are aware there is a pain, but there is no suffering. Enlightenment means end of suffering. That is how enlightenment is translated in English. Enlightenment is called Dukkha Samudaya, and is translated in English as ending or cessation of suffering. And that is the ultimate bliss one realizes gradually in the path and completely and perfectly at the enlightenment. And that bliss, as mentioned in the Ratana Sutra, cannot be bought for money. Therefore, it can be valued in terms of money. There is no criteria to value the bliss of Nirvana or the bliss one experiences on the path Nirvana. That gradually get increased little by little from moment to moment. Toka tokang kane kane, as said in the Malavagga of Dhammapada. And that bliss is not coming from outside. It is our intrinsic nature. Nirvana is our real nature. The suffering that we undergo in our mind is not our real nature. It is foreign to our real nature. Realizing Nirvana means realizing our real nature, a mind free from thoughts and feelings. That is realized at the trance called Sanya Veda iti Nirodha, because after enlightenment no thinking, but sensation is there. Sensation too ceases when the enlightened one get absorbed in the trance called Sanya Veda iti Nirodha, and in that trance one can pass away, and that is called Parinibbana, and that is the perfect bliss that can be valued or bought, and that is priceless. And that priceless bliss is nowhere else. It is in us. Therefore, there is no need to buy it from somebody else. But nobody can use us, because it is only within us, and only we ourselves can discover it. That is why the path of discovery is called Ekānaya Magga in Mahasatipatthana. Sutta, it means only one can realize the bliss on the path nirvana as well as the bliss in the nirvana. As said in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta that comes in the Digha Nikaya, volume 2, page 436. And in that path, one can be aware of both pain and pleasure in the mind, but without getting disturbed. That means without thinking. It is the thinking that makes things painful or pleasurable. The bliss of nirvana is free from both pleasure and pain. It is a sublime state that cannot be expressed as an idea. That is why nirvana is called idea. But our body can experience it, because I have mentioned a number of occasions that the last 4 arahants that lived in Thailand passed away. After their passing away, their ashes of the body that was burned down, turned into gems, pearls and crystals, showing their body had experienced the bliss of nirvana. And that bliss cannot be bought from anybody, not even from Buddha. Not even a Buddha can give you the bliss of nirvana. You yourself have to find out within yourself.